Selbyville, and is a review of a rezoning and site plan to rezone 48 acres from GC General Commercial to R4 with a residential plan community overlay for the construction of mixed-use development consisting of 106 single-family dwelling units and 5,000 square foot of commercial. Just to start off, so everyone is aware, there will be public comment period at the end of each application for Plus. If you are here with the public and you would like to speak at that time, please use the raise your hand button to identify yourself. Due to timing, each person wishing to speak will be limited to 3 minutes, which can be shortened at the discretion of the Plus coordinator. When speaking, please state your name and address and only comment on the project being reviewed at that time. Comments received today will be filed in our Plus file, but will not be included as part of our final Plus response. The Preliminary Land Use Service is a technical advisory committee that provides comments about state agency regulations and recommendations regarding each project. There are no final approvals, decisions, or actions made through the Plus process. It is an informational process only. Therefore, it is recommended that if there is anyone on the public that on the phone call today that has a comment, we recommend that you participate in local jurisdictions land use review and approval process and provide your comments through that venue. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sam. Sam is going to go over who's on the phone from each state agency, and then we will get started with whoever wants to give us an overview of the project.
Thanks, Dorothy. All right, so on the phone today from our state agencies, we have Stephen Baer, Anna Maria Primato, and Austin Gray from DelDOT. We also have John Rudd from the State Fire Marshal's Office, Carlton Hall from the Delaware State Historic Preservation Office, and Beth Crummer from DENREC. And in the room with us today, we have Nicole Carey from FEMA. Who wants to start?
I will start. This is Lawton Myrick with GNB. I'm a land planner with George Miles and Bureau out of our Salisbury office. And I'm here, you can't see him, but Chris Pfeiffer is a civil engineer here on our site sustainable team is with me as well, listening in. Also on the call is the owner, Daniel Bunting of Bunting Construction Corporation, and Betty Tustin of the Traffic Group. We're glad to be here and have the opportunity to present the Long property, which is in the town of Selbyville, as was stated earlier. The site is sandwiched between Route 113 and Cypress Road and consists of 2 parcels, those being tax map 533, 16, 25, and 32, for a total land area of 48.2 acres. The project is currently zoned GC General Commercial, and we plan to retain approximately 3.65 acres for future commercial use, which is the area closer to Route 113. And we're seeking a rezoning to R4 with the town of Selbyville for the 44.55 acres closer to Cypress Road. Our focus today is this residential portion. The 44.55 acre section is laid out as a single family detached subdivision, and per the town's code, our allowable density is 2.2 lots per acre, and that yields 98 lots, which is shown on the revised plan that I'm happy to share with the team. Site constraint is the tax ditch system across the site, and our goal is to reroute the interior drainage way and seek a court order reduction in a tax ditch right away as necessary. There are no wetlands on the site, and our goal is to retain as much of the existing wooded area as possible. Potential amenities include a pool and pool house, fishing pier, off-leash dog park, and boat and RV storage area. Water and sewer will be provided by the town of Selbyville. We had a project coordination meeting with DelDOT representatives yesterday, and that is the proposed Long property in a nutshell, and we thank you for your consideration. If Daniel Bunting wants to speak, I welcome his comments too.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was on mute. I have nothing further to add.
Okay. Could you just go back for a minute? You talked about sharing, so I'm sorry, I was trying to get my Adobe wasn't working. I was trying to get the site plan up. Were there changes since it's come through Plus? Is that what you said?
Yeah, so we've made some alterations. I can share if I don't believe I have control to
That's
share.
okay. Sam's here. She can give you control so we can share.
Okay.
Go ahead, Laura.
Okay. Chris, which one? Should be that one. Okay. See that?
Yep.
So as I was saying, this area where the cursor is now will remain as the future commercial site.
Okay,
And we were wanted to focus our energy today on the proposed residential portion back here going out to Cypress Road.
okay, so the site plan we have on file with the plus application is the same one. There hasn't been changes to the residential portion.
Well, we went from 106 units down to 98 with that change in total acreage. I think the intent originally was an RPC to have both uses within the RPC. And I believe the ownership group just said, you know, it might be cleaner and easier if we just keep them separate.
Okay. All right, I see now where you're talking about, and I don't, the agencies can comment as we go through if this causes you any concern, but if you could please forward that new site plan just so we can forward it to the agencies.
Absolutely.
I don't think that any of the changes I'm seeing are gonna cause concern or a separate plus, but obviously if the agencies feel strongly about it, then we'll discuss it as we go through the agencies. But certainly, you know, taking lots away, I'm not sure that that's gonna be a large enough concern that it would require a separate plus meeting. So are there any questions from the state agencies? before we start?
Just to clarify, we met with the town. We wanted to, the towns expressed their interest in keeping the front commercial. So we explored a couple of different avenues on how to achieve that, what would be best for the town, for the developer. Ultimately, we ended up on, removing this commercial site, parcel 32, from the plan entirely. So that will be just a separate, submission entirely, as we go through this. We met with we met with DelDOT yesterday, and the only concern they raised was actually whether or not they would like to see connectivity between the two sites.
And my last comment was, so oftentimes there are changes in a site plan from the time that we receive it for plus, and the time we go to plus. And so if the changes are major changes, then it might require that we stop the plus meeting and sort of send out the site plan and start over. And I'm not seeing that here, but like I said, if any of the agencies have an issue, then they'll certainly let me know as we move through. That's not something we like to do, but to give you the best comments, you know, we want to make sure the site plan that we're commenting on is the most up to date, or you know, the closest we can get, so that we're not giving you comments that aren't relevant.
Understood. This should be the final site plan, and it's just showing a reduction of single family homes.
Great. Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Are there any state agency questions before we get started with comments?
This is Beth from Denrec. I am wondering, the application says no wetlands on the site, but we are seeing potential rivering wetlands along the tax ditch area. Has a wetland delineation been done? Are there wetlands on the site?
A wetlands delineation has not been completed at this time. However, we have had Ed Lene from Environmental Resources walk the site and verbally comment that he saw no wetlands on the site and there was nothing for him to flag. We are moving forward with having him continue to look at the site and determine if in fact there are anything. But at his initial
Who
walkthrough,
was
he
that
determined.
again?
I'm sorry?
Ed Lene.
Who?
It was Ed Lene with Environmental Resources, Inc.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
His office is right across the street, so he's walked
Yep,
the site many times and is very familiar with the site.
Got it. So that's the only question that we had. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, hearing none, I'll start off with Office of State Planning comments, and then we'll move forward with the state agency comments. So from the Office of State Planning perspective, just so you know, in November of 22, Plus reviewed a comp plan amendment to change the land use on map 4 of the Selbyville comp plan from general commercial residential. According to my records, this amendment was approved on January 9th of 2023, so no further action is required there. The project itself is located in an investment level 2 area, which is consistent with the 2020 strategy for state policies and spending. And as I mentioned before, it is located in the town of Selbyville. Investment level 2 areas reflect where we anticipate growth by local plans in the near-term future. Development in level 2 is consistent with the 2020 strategy for state policies and spending, and therefore the Office of State Planning has no objections to the rezoning and site plan provided it meets the relevant codes and ordinances of Selbyville. With that said, I know that you're going to do the commercial under a separate site plan. I'm not sure how much commercial is going to be there. As you know, plus criteria is 50,000 square feet. But because it fronts on US 113, the Office of State Planning is asking that the commercial site plan come back to plus regardless of the size of the structures.
Understood that. That's fine. And I believe the town of Selbyville will be filing to actually have this comp plan amended back, which is our fault, but have it amended back to commercial in the comp plan.
Gotcha. Okay. So I'll discuss, Selbyville, I'm sure Selbyville will give me a call and we'll discuss that. And with that said, I'm going to turn it over to state agencies for comments, and we'll start with Steve from DelDOT.
Thank you, Dorothy, and good morning, everyone. In terms of traffic analysis, based on the expected trip generation, this project qualifies for the area-wide study fee. You mentioned in the introduction that you've already had conversations with us. Please keep that process moving. The only site-specific comment I have is related to the frontage along Cypress Road. We'll be looking for either sidewalk or shared use path along that frontage. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Beth?
Thank you, Dorothy. The preliminary plan proposes the elimination of 5 of 6.9 acres of forest on the site. An analysis of historical data indicates that these forested areas could be potentially mature forest when we look back through aerial photos, which have been present since 1937. Mature forests possess the potential for rare, threatened, and endangered species. So DNRAC reviewers are recommending a forest assessment to determine if mature forest resources exist on the site. And in general, removing forest areas for development, especially mature forests, should be avoided to the greatest extent possible. The Polly Branch Tax Ditch is mapped as key wildlife habitat in the Delaware Wildlife Action Plan because this area can serve as a corridor for an array of animal species. Key wildlife habitat should be conserved to the maximum extent practicable, and we will provide contact information with the DNRAC Division of Fish and Wildlife, who knows more about these areas and the Delaware Wildlife Action Plan. In terms of stormwater management, you know probably already that the delegated agency is the Sussex Conservation District. Continue to work with the Sussex Conservation District for all approvals relating to erosion control and stormwater management. Do know that there is poorly drained soils, A/D, covering site, and know that these practices, I don't see any infiltration. I see a lot of wet ponds, and this is probably why. If you do put any infiltration practices on the site, you will need to have a soil investigation where infiltration rates must meet a certain criteria. In terms of the actual tax ditches from a tax ditch standpoint, as opposed to a habitat standpoint, punch and run tax ditch, as you know, prong 8 and sub 1 prong 8 are located on the project site. There are rights of way, including 80-foot top of bank, 85-foot to the center line, and 45 foot to the center line extending into the project site. So the tax ditch reroute will require new right-of-ways proposed, and a court order change will be needed. We will include the proper form in our final written comments so that you can better coordinate with the DNRAC drainage program.
Understood.
And I think the biggest, note these lots 51, 52, 79, 70, 78, 51, 52, 79, 78 are probably those lots that are going to be experiencing issues when the tax ditch is rerouted. There are areas that are partially intersecting to the east for wellhead protection areas near the proposed dog park. Be certain to comply with all local codes. And from a wildlife perspective, you've heard this a little bit already, but wildlife displacement is anticipated on this site. We will include requirements relating to residents who are not permitted to discharge firearms within 100 yards of any occupied dwelling or building to hunt or remove nuisance wildlife. Because there is 18 acres of open space proposed for this site, if nutrients is applied to more than 10 acres, a nutrient management plan will be required for this site. If that is the case, work through the Delaware Department of Agriculture to develop a nutrient management plan. Other than that, we will include some recommendations, for example, for unsustainability practices such as solar, EV charging, and building garages and parking space to be EV ready. And that's all from DENREC. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, John, State Farm Mark's office.
Good morning, everyone. Generally speaking, the site looks good. You will have that dead end road there that was going to lead, I guess, to the commercial site. So just make sure if that's greater than 300 feet, you have a turnaround. And of course, we recommend that all residential occupancies be sprinkled. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Carlton?
The portions adjacent to the perennial stream marking the northern boundary of the project area are medium to high probability for pre-contact archaeological resources. In addition, based on the late 19th to early 20th century agricultural settings of the surrounding areas, a number of agricultural dwellings still existent and non-existent are associated with the project area. Numerous outcrops of isolated trees and small micro-topographic rises interspersed throughout the fields may indicate family cemetery lots. Abandoned or unmarked family cemeteries are very common in Delaware, especially on historic farm sites or open space lands. The Delaware SHPO recommends that the owners or developers have a qualified archaeological consultant investigate the project area for the presence of cemeteries, as well to assess the potential for pre-contact materials along the stream. That's all for SHPO.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. Can we go ahead and get you to stop sharing your screen since I think everybody's seen it? That way I can just make sure that we've got everybody we need to comment.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, so Nicole, did you have comments on this one?
Sure. This area is. There we go.
Yep, you're good.
These parcels are located within an area of minimal flood concern of 1,000 years or greater. This parcel is located within Sussex County, but no evacuation zone. The parcel is not located within the 10-mile EPZ zone for the Salem Nuclear Power Plant. The county population has a density of 265.6 per square mile based on the U.S. 2020 Census report, an increase from 2010 at 208.9 persons per square mile. The specific census block project is located on has a total population of 28, though with development, this will certainly change. The adjacent blocks aggregate brings the area to a total population of 303. According to FEMA's National Risk Index, the parcel is considered very low for overall natural hazard risk, and its community resilience and social vulnerability are rated as relatively moderate.
Okay, thank you very much. Did I miss any state agencies? Are there any other state agency comments, or did you guys have any questions of anything you've heard so far?
Nothing so far.
Okay, not seeing any other state agencies. Do we have any? Is Selbyville on the phone? Stacy?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, did you have any comments or any questions?
No, just that, as what Daniel was saying, you'll be hearing from me in the next week or so, coming through Plus again to, amend the comp plan again for the commercial frontage back to the commercial from the RPC that they originally intended.
Okay.
And the town does support that. We, during the discussion, it was stressed that we really want to see commercial, obviously on Route 113, and the developer decided that it would best fit if we just left these at two separate parcels, and the town is in full support of that.
Okay, yes, definitely send me an email with that discussion and we can get that started.
Okay.
Especially since the area was, commercial, well, it was commercial originally, we moved it to, residential.
Right.
We'll work on that. It shouldn't be an issue to work on. Okay, any other comments from state agencies before I turn it over for public comment? Okay, seeing none, are there any, public that wishes to comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. So comments will be due back to us in about a week and a half. Comments are due out to you on or before
March 22nd.
March the 22nd. I need to write that down. And in the meantime, if you have any questions or need me for anything, you know where I'm at. Just give me an email.
Thank you very much.
I'll email the updated site plan, Dorothy.
Okay, that would be perfect. And as soon as we get that updated site plan, we will send it out to the reviewers.
Thank you so much.
And I did forget to note, do we have a couple of reviewers that aren't here today? So if they have comments, they'll be in the final letter.
Understood. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.